Hello and welcome everyone to Under the Surface Part 2. I'm super excited for this. Logically, this has the same content warnings as the first part, which you should have watched to understand this. And yeah, it's gonna get angsty. Before we start, some bad news sadly. My phone broke, which sucks. I still have some videos that I can edit and upload, but it might delay video production for a bit. And yeah, I'm so annoyed by it. If you want to do me a huge favor, please rewatch some of your favorites from my content. If you like my content, that would mean a lot for me because, well, getting it repaired is expensive and this is my job. So thank you so much in advance for everyone who's already rewatching some of my videos. I will try my best to get back to you with new content as soon as possible. Bokuto froze. For a moment, his control slipped and the shock became evident on his face. He didn't even realize at first until he saw a similar emotion flash over Kenma's face and he retreated back into the blankets. No. That's... okay. Right, it's fine. He struggled to catch himself, but the fearful look in the golden eyes grounded him. Kenma was hurt. He was scared. Bokuto had to do anything in his power to help him. He wished nothing more than that his presence made him feel safe like before. Okay, so you're 7. Deep breaths. He started slowly counting to 10 in his head. His hands trembled slightly at his sides. Is that bad? No, of course not. How could your age be something bad? He smiled brightly, desperately hoping he managed to play it off as natural. I was just surprised. You don't look like 7, but that was my mistake. Yeah, people always assume I'm younger because I'm so small and skinny. They say it's because I don't eat enough. Pain filled his eyes and set in the corners of his lips as they started to tremble. His voice sounded more strained the longer he spoke and almost broke towards the end. They? Who was they? Judging by Kenma's reaction, not someone Bokuto would like. Well, if you're hungry, I'll gladly make you whatever breakfast you like, though my abilities are limited. He smiled wearily at the smaller, who just buried his face against his knees in a desperate attempt not to be seen. But Kenma, I won't make you eat if you're not hungry. The blanket pile moved, but Bokuto wasn't sure if he shook his head or nodded. He sighed, his eyes glancing toward the door again, contemplating. Kuro might be able to help. Akashi might have an idea what could be the cause of this. But he didn't want to leave Kenma alone in this state, especially not after everything he just said. Helplessly, he stood in the room halfway to the door, lost. His mind ran 1,000 miles per minute as he tried to think about something he could do, anything in his power to improve the situation, when suddenly his eyes fell on the controller to his right. Hey, Kenma? The pile moved again slightly, and from in between, a pair of golden cat-like eyes observed him carefully. Do you like to play games? The eyes widened and a glint of curiosity appeared. He couldn't hide how much Bokuto's words tempted him as the ace picked up the controller and offered it to him, still keeping a distance. Like video games? Of course. Those are your favorites, aren't they? Bokuto smiled brightly, genuinely, as he recognized the familiar passion in Kemma's eyes. It was so much more juvenile, childlike than he had ever seen before, but it was there, and it was Kemma's. Pale hands reached from between the blankets, even though he wouldn't be able to reach the controller with just an arm's length, but when Bokuto came closer to ease the distance, they retreated again. Is this a trick? Did Mom set you up to do this? This time the fear in his voice, heavy to the point of horror, mixed with an unfamiliar bitterness, and his eyes seemed to dull at the prospect, like resignation was setting in and he was just waiting for some kind of punishment. What? No, you can play if you like. I mean it. No tricks. Higher. It sounded like a weak accusation and his arms fell limp to his sides. Bokuto couldn't bear to see him like that. The look in his eyes so full of pain and resentment bore into his soul that only when he dropped it to the fabric covering his legs, Bokuto felt like he could breathe again. He didn't know what happened or how he could have offended him, but Kemma clearly expected some kind of negative consequence to his kindness. He looked at the controller like a poisoned piece of apple pie he really wanted to eat, but couldn't, except that he seemed to expect a punishment for simply thinking about it. Slowly, Bokuto sat down before the bed, connecting a second controller to the console, and waited. He had to take a second to remain calm before he continued. What's your favorite game? No reply, but he already knew which ones Kemma liked to play, especially when he was playing with them, so he automatically switched to Mario Kart. I'll just leave it here and you can join whenever you like. He used the second controller to pick Kemma's favorite character and card before placing it on the bed a little bit behind him and started the game. Hopefully, Kemma would notice sooner or later that nothing bad was going to happen and accepted the game. He was running out of ideas. The first round passed, and from behind him he could hear time and time again little noises of protest and seemingly attempts to correct his play, but Kemma bit his tongue before a full sentence could form every time. By round 2, he wasn't so quiet anymore. The racetracks were on shuffle, and with Bokuto's luck, he was immediately thrown onto the rainbow one, or the queerest of them all, as Kura would say. He fell off more times than he could count, but to his surprise, that was exactly what got Kemma out of his shell. He threw increasingly more tips in his direction and got frustrated the less Bokuto seemed capable of putting them into action. He wished he could say that was on purpose. Before the ace knew it, the controller had been snatched from beside him, and although Kemma's character had been previously behind the rest, he made 3rd place. Bokuto came in 10th. Afterward, the blonde looked at his own hands with the same mixture of resignation and horror from before. They're going to punish me, won't they? Bokuto wished desperately he could take whatever was burdening Kemma from him, and to have a not-so-friendly talk with they, but he honestly had no idea what was going on. What happened to make him think like that? Who has time for that? The next round is starting. He tried a reassuring smile and pressed the buttons before Kemma could hide again. The smaller looked up surprised before his gaze was captured by the colorful landscape of a sugary sweet candy racetrack. It worked, and soon the 7-year-old version of his boyfriend left him in the dust. It really wasn't fair. That Kemma could defeat them all as an adult was one thing, but did he have to do it as a child as well? Round Round and round again, he suffered a shameful defeat by the smallest hand. Kemma got so focused on the game for a moment, he seemed to forget his fears, and while that was the plan, Bokuto found himself getting distracted too. If only because every time he didn't try his hardest, a pout formed on Kemma's face. It was rather curious. Even as young as he claimed to be at the moment, he hid his emotions well, but compared to what Bokuto was used to, he was far more expressive. Or rather, it was his choice of what to express, the biggest difference being his fear. Adult Kemma, after lots of reassurance, showed it more or less openly, communicating it to them if he felt uncomfortable or wanted to get out of a situation. Child Kemma tried to hide as best as he could, which seemed to fail because he was too scared. Scared of this, For a second, Bokuto thought about his family, his mother. He said, did mom put you up to this after all? But all he knew about Kemma's mom was that she was sweet and kind and caring. More so, Kemma always spoke of her with adoration, and she treated all three of them, Tetsuro, Keiji, and himself, as though they were her own. Furthermore, he raised Kemma alone, so why they? He didn't want to jump to conclusions just yet, but until this was resolved, he'd make sure no harm would come to him, even if that meant keeping his family away if Kemma wished so. You suck. Huh? At the game, you're really bad. Well, ouch. Somehow getting roasted by the 7-year-old version of Kemma hurt even more. Ken, you are so mean to me. The smaller just shrugged his shoulders, and for a moment he almost seemed like himself again, when suddenly steps echoed from the hallway and he froze. Bokuto slowly lowered the controller. He saw from the corner of his eye how Kemma cowered in fear, hiding in the blankets again. Hey, Kemma, it's alright. That's just Keiji or Tetsuro. Remember? I told you about them. But it was futile. The fear didn't vanish from his eyes. Part of him thought he might not have even heard him. Part of him was relieved at the thought that someone would come and help him, but he needed to talk to them first. Explain what was going on. Kemma, I'll go check, okay? I'll make sure it's no one bad. The golden eyes only flickered briefly toward him, but it was enough to recognize the doubt within them. Furthermore, he shied away from him again. It was a painful reminder that Kemma, this version of him, didn't trust him. Bokuto gulped, faced with the same dilemma as before. It hurt seeing Kemma like this. Even more the thought to leave him alone when he was so terrified. But he undoubtedly needed the help of their partners. And it would only get worse if they walked in here now, not knowing that it was nothing like it should be. Hesitantly, he got up and moved toward the door. He heard the water in the sink running from the bathroom and was half relieved that it had given him time to make his decision. As the click of the bathroom door opening and closing again echoed through the hall, he fastened his steps. Just when the door to the gaming room clicked shut behind him, Akashi appeared next to him. The raven smiled softly and slung his arms around Bokuto's middle. Good morning. He whispered the words against his chest before looking up at him, a soft glow of contentment filling his eyes. It dimmed as he saw the distress in Bokuto's. Kotaro? What is going on? He brought a hand to his face and gently caressed the skin over his cheeks, searching his eyes for an answer. The eyes wished he could have let himself fall into the tender reassurance his partner offered, but this wasn't about his own distress. He guided Akashi a couple steps away from the door, to prevent Kemma from hearing this and drawing the wrong conclusions, an action commented on by Akashi with a frown. Kotaro, you're making me worried. I'm freaking out since his breathing was rigid and he had to force himself to continue. Something is wrong with Kemma. I don't know how or why, but Keiji, I'm scared. Alarm sparked up in the sea blue eyes, and in the blink of an eye, the tiredness had vanished. Tell me what happened. Thank you so much for watching to the end. I hope you liked it. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe because it would really help this channel. And yeah, I'm sorry for the cliffhanger. I mean, of course, I would never do something like that. But yeah, the reasons as to why Kemma is feeling this way will get explained in the future parts, which I have a couple of more of those pre-recorded, so you'll get them soon. Other than that, however, I only have like a Mia twin video, and I hope my phone gets repaired very quickly. Special thanks to my nerdy neckos, and again to all of you, please rewatch some of my old content. It would help me so much also to pay for the repairing of the phone. For I cannot talk. Thank you so much for watching this, and I hope you have a wonderful and amazing day.
Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you want to be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.